and welcome to Neptune Quay in Ipswich for the start of the 2012 Tour of Britain. And after such an incredible summer, never before has there been such an appetite for professional cycling on home soil. But if this year's race is going to live up to the excitement and drama of last year, well, it's going to have its work cut out. It started just the way you might have imagined. Mark Cavendish winning at the very first time of asking, taking the stage into Dumfries. The weather may not have been golden, but his jersey was. No sooner had it all got underway though than it got blown away. Appalling winds in Blackpool meant that all Mark Cavendish got up to that day was a visit to the ballroom. The music played on, but not the tour. When the race restarted, Sky and HTC Highroad were so concerned with marking one another that they forgot to watch Rabobank, and Lars Boom bust the race apart. The leader's jersey he would not be parted with. They tried hard enough, but the Dutchman couldn't be shifted. Not in Caerphilly, where Steve Cummings attacked, only for Thor Hushovd to ride out the win in the rainbow jersey. And not on stage 5 either, where the race came together for a seaside sprint into Exmouth. Mark Renshaw and Mark Cavendish crossing the line in first and second, but the wrong way around this time. Any lingering doubts about the overall race lead were extinguished on stage 6 when Ian Bibby and Geraint Thomas took each other out and Lars Boom hammered home his superiority. Plain sailing then onto the Norfolk Broads and the breakaway, which stayed away. Gediminas Bagdonas getting the royal treatment into Sandringham. Lars Boom still the GC leader as the Tour juggernaut descended on the capital. 2 races in one day started with the individual time trial. Newly crowned British time trial champion Alex Dowsett gave Sky Pro Cycling a welcome boost before a rain-soaked crowd lined the streets of London and watched enthralled as the riders raced through Whitehall with a grandstand finish by the Manx missile to claim the stage victory. But the overall spoils went to the unstoppable Lars Boom. Well, Matt Stevens is with us for the duration of the tour. Good to see you, Matt. Last year, looking back, we came so close to getting a British winner, but Lars Boom, a worthy winner in the end. But what were some of the highlights for you?
I think the highlights for me was obviously seeing Mark Cavendish on British roads and winning a couple of stages, top and tail of the tour. And obviously Steve Cummings coming very, very close to second overall. Alex Dowsett winning the final time trial. And I just think the way it was raced, extremely aggressive, and the emergence of John Tiernan-Lock winning the King of the Mountains as well.
He'll be one to watch, of course.
Definitely.
Looking at this year's race then, they said last year was tough. This year they're saying could be the hardest ever. Definitely.
You're looking at the terrain, it's a real mixed bag. We're going up to the Scottish borders in a couple of days' time, and the weather forecast is quite poor, so that's going to be a spectacular day, I think. Another crucial stage is going to be the double header down in Caerphilly, twice up the mountain. Last year it was just once, so I think we'll definitely see some splits in the peloton there. Then, of course, moving down into Devon with the steep climbs and twisty roads, that is going to be an absolute decider.
And there's plenty for the sprinters too?
Definitely, of course. You know, a really big classics finale on the final day in Guildford, up the cobbled hill, and of course today could be one for the sprinters as well, nice and flat.
You mentioned the Scottish borders. It goes right past my family home up near Jedburgh. Up there, it's gorgeous up there, but I know already the crowds will be out, the schools are going to send all the kids down. I think the riders will be surprised at the reception they received this year.
I mean, last year I was a manager on the race and I was absolutely overwhelmed by the crowds, but obviously with the Cav effect, Bradley winning the Tour and our wonderful Olympics, it's going to be extremely exciting, and I've no doubt the crowds are going to be out of force.
Well, the crowds will be pleased to see so many stellar names in the peloton. Obviously, the reigning world champion Mark Cavendish is a definite one to watch, sporting the rainbow jersey for the last time before defending his world championship title in Holland next week. A double stage winner last year, bookending the tour with sprint wins on the opening and closing stages. He'll be bidding to add to that tally this week. He'll be supported on the road by Sky teammate and 4 times Olympic champion and Tour de France winner Bradley Wiggins, who's sure to draw out the crowds over the next 7 days. He'll enjoy a hero's welcome across the country. Look out for Enduro Racing's John Tiernan-Lock. The young rider won the King of the Mountains classification in last year's race and is tipped for big things this time around. The 2008 Olympic road race champion and Grand Tour stage winner Sammy Sanchez is here for the first time with his team Euskaltel Euskadi. Sanchez crashed out of the Tour de France, so he couldn't defend his Olympic title in London. So great for British bike fans to see him here this week. Liquigas Cannondale make their Tour of Britain debut, led by double Giro d'Italia winner Ivan Basso, in what could be one of the strongest squads in the race. Basso took 5th at the Giro in May and then helped Vincenzo Nibali to 3rd overall at the Tour de France. And the new Aussie outfit, Orica Green Edge, is here, but with just 5 riders, including Olympic silver medalist Jack Bobridge, the world individual pursuit record holder, and a key member of the team pursuit who pushed GB in the London Velodrome.
We're starting with 1 down already. You know, we've had a sickness, so I'll just get out there and just find my legs. I think feel the boys as well over the next few days and see where we go. We've got some good sprinters with Addis and Howard here as well, though. But you know, we'll try to get them up at the finish. But if not, we'll just ride ourselves in the first few days, I think.
Well, what a lineup. And Matt, when you see the crowds flocking around the team buses here at the start, Team Sky, 6 deep, 10 deep, with people desperate to catch a glimpse of their heroes, gives you an indication of how far the sport has moved on.
It certainly does. I mean, I was here at course weight this morning, 2.5 hours before the start, and there's already people here, you know, before we arrived. It's absolutely tremendous. There's a real buzz about the place, and I'm sure we're going to see this team in every single town and city throughout the tour.
Let's be honest, we all know who they've come to see this morning.
Of course. Yeah, Mark Cavendish, current world champion, and of course, Wiggo himself, Bradley Wiggins, the first winner, British winner of the Tour de France. Yeah, what an amazing situation to have those 2 guys on British roads racing their home tour.
And of course, the Olympics has played a big part in that as well. Wiggins winning that time trial down at Hampton Court.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the crowds. I was there at Hampton Court to see Bradley win, and it was almost to the point of being overwhelming to see the reception that the British crowds gave the Olympics, and I'm sure it's going to be replicated on the roads this week.
Now, let's be honest, it's not a tour for Bradley Wiggins, and Caerphilly probably means it's maybe not a tour for Mark Cavendish. Who particularly are you looking out for?
My favourite is going to be John Tiernan Locke of Endura. He's had a tremendous start to the year. Then he was a little bit sick, but he's had a good rest, and I think he's got all the kind of the right attributes to win a race like this, especially given the crucial stage in Devon with the climbs. He's from that kind of area, and of course twice up Caerphilly Mountain, and he displayed his prowess last year by winning the King of the Mountains. I think he's going to be a firm favourite for me, but obviously the field is extremely deep in talent this year.
It is indeed. 17 teams, 21 different countries represented, and the likes of Sammy Sanchez, Ivan Basso here, Grand Tour winners, stage winners. You know, the category of rider here is second to none. It's,
you know, without a doubt the best field that's ever been assembled. Sammy Sanchez, previous Olympic champion, Tour stage winner. Basso, another Grand Tour winner. You know, there's lots and lots of riders who are going to be in the mix. But no, we're quite proud to actually have that kind of calibre on our roads. How will they handle the vagaries of the British summer? Well, you know, they're all professionals. I mean, obviously Basso has won the Giro d'Italia and has raced through the sleet and snow up the Gavia Pass and stuff like that. So, but I think, you know, it's a mixed bag, isn't it? It's a lovely day today, but apparently in Scotland it's going to be awful. So I think they're going to have to get used to having their gilet and cape in the back pockets. Well, listen, we can control the route, we can't control the weather. Let's take a look at the roads around Britain. Dubbed the hardest ever Tour of Britain, here's the detail on the tough bits that lie ahead for the riders over the next 8 days. It's an East Anglian Grand Depart from Ipswich to the Norfolk Showground on the outskirts of Norwich. Stage 2 begins in Nottingham, crossing the Peak District, and then a sprint to the line on Merseyside. Into the Scottish borders for Stage 3 and the ups and downs of Dumfries and Galloway, before a short hop to Carlisle and the race to Blackpool. Over 2,000 metres of climbing awaits on Stage 5, starting and ending in Stoke-on-Trent, before the mountains of mid-Wales rear into view on Stage 6. Devon will host the penultimate stage, Barnstable on the county's north coast to Dartmouth in the south. And the final leg in Surrey will see riders head from Reigate through the finish line in Guildford and out into the Surrey Hills. The opening stage of the 2012 race looks to be one for the sprinters, travelling just over 200 kilometres across the flatlands of Britain's eastern counties of Suffolk and Norfolk. Starting on the waterfront at Ipswich before racing up to Great Yarmouth along stretches of exposed coast before a sharp turn inland, and the finish line at the Norfolk Showground on the outskirts of Norwich. The Tour's opening stage of 2012 should again be one for the sprinters, with a largely flat profile on its 200-kilometre route through the beautiful Suffolk and Norfolk countryside. Starting in Ipswich, the peloton races northeast towards the coast, skirting Southwold and bisecting the seaside resorts of Lowestoft and Great Yarmouth, before dropping inland through the beautiful Norfolk Broads. Popular tourist destinations such as Horning, Hoverton and Wroxham will sample the colour of the Tour as the riders begin to focus on the finish at the Royal Norfolk Showground in Norwich.
I'm only 9 kilometres into today's stage. I'm just about to hit the first of 3 intermediate sprints. Bonus seconds on offer for the first 3 riders across the line. On a flat road like this, we can expect to see speeds upwards of 60 kilometres per hour. Back in 2007, the overall victory was decided by less than a second, so these intermediate sprints can play a vital role. Well, that is a really fast finish into this showground, and in fact perfectly suited to Mark Cavendish if the bunch comes in together at the end of the stage. He'll be particularly motivated in what could be one of his last appearances in the rainbow jersey of world champion.
Well, Matt, looking at the profile for today's stage through Suffolk and Norfolk, it's no surprise to see it's reasonably flat.
It is pretty flat, yeah. It goes through the marshes and the fenlands of Norfolk. Hugs the coast quite closely. It's going to be, but again, there's not too much wind today, so normally that would play a part. But it's got to be a day for the sprinters. But what I think we'll see is an early break go, because it's 125 miles, and then the big sprinters teams will probably reel it in, hopefully to tee it up for Mark.
Well, of course, Mark Cavendish perhaps speculating about what next year might hold, but he'd love to win on home soil with Team Sky, wouldn't he?
Definitely, especially in the rainbow stripes. It should be wonderful. But yeah, I think we'll see Cav up there today, but who knows?
Thanks, Matt. Well, after the break, we'll get the 2012 Tour of Britain underway. Join us in a couple of minutes. Hello and welcome back to sunny Ipswich as we count down to the start of this year's Tour of Britain. And as you can see, well, at this stage, all eyes are on the Team Sky bus. And who else but Bradley Wiggins? How much are you looking forward to this tour?
I'll see how the legs feel first, to be honest. If the weather stays like this, I'm really looking forward to just getting back on the bike for a week, because it's been a bit bitty up to now. So I'm just looking, just nice to be back racing again, doing, I suppose, what we do best, although I probably won't do that this week. But yeah, as I say, it's just nice to be back with the team, back with the boys, and yeah, looking forward to the week in that sense.
How have the last couple of weeks been?
Different, yeah. I mean, it's nice in a way. It's been kind of difficult to get used to in some senses, but nice that all the success we've had, that you can enjoy some certain perks of the job.
Thousands and thousands of people are going to be lining this route. People are talking about it as a wonderful procession for you and the team. I expect we're going to see crowds like we've never seen before in British roads.
Yeah, hopefully, and obviously the race has got bigger every year, and the last few times I've done it, it's been good. So don't know really. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Maybe a Cav win today, but who do you see for overall?
I don't even know who's riding, to be honest. I got here at midnight last night. I haven't seen the start list. I don't know. I was at a dinner last night in Wigan. I don't know what's, just here. They give me a number, push me off, and see what happens,
Look forward to seeing you. Thanks, Brad. Well done. Right. Well, the riders have made their way through the crowds to the start, so let's get the action underway with our commentary team of Rob Hales and Hugh Porter.
Well, we're looking down here at Ipswich waterfront, and believe me, everywhere is bathed in glorious warm sunshine, and the crowds, literally thousands of them, have turned out to wave the field away. And right in the middle of our picture, Mark Cavendish, the reigning world champion, enjoying his final competition before he goes to Holland to defend that world crown. But they really are here in numbers. Ivan Basso, twice the winner of the Tour of Italy, is among the field. Samuel Sanchez, the Olympic champion Beijing, and of course the king himself, and that is Bradley Wiggins, who's had the season of all seasons, crowning it off with winning the Tour de France and the Olympic gold medal for the time trial. What a fantastic sight this is. Perfect time to bring in Rob Hales.
Well, look at these crowds, fantastic. Great to see thousands out here, and I think they're going to be all the way around the course today.
Well, ahead of them is the longest stage of the tour, just over 200 kilometres. There are 3 gentle climbs to set up the King of the Mountains and 3 sprints to get the Yodel Sprints competition underway. There's Ivan Basso, well, twice the winner of the Tour of Italy, 5th in the Tour de France as well this year, and he actually won the Young Riders competition in 2002 in the Tour de France. So the flag will drop, and away we go for this, the longest stage then of this year's tour.
Yeah, already the longest stage and one of the longest neutralised sections as well, around about 25 minutes to roll out this morning for the guys, but all looking happy. The sun's out, and we're going to experience a great race today, that I'm sure. Although there are three smaller climbs on the way, that this should come into a bunch sprint today.
Well, the fact that it is a long neutralised section is a perfect opportunity for the riders to get themselves warmed up. Let me tell you, since the race started some 9 years ago, Great Britain to date have yet to win the event overall. Maybe this year could be the time. Team Sky have put in a very strong squad of Bradley Wiggins, Mark Cavendish, Bernard Eisel, Jeremy Hunt, Christian Nace and Luke Rowe getting a late call. And already look at this, under the leafy trees there's an attack beginning to develop.
Yeah, one of the Ampos riders there going, and that looks like Christian House from Rafa Condor in the black strip just behind him coming across, and two other riders just going clear from the bunch already. And these narrow twisty roads, as they say, out of sight and out of mind.
You are right there, Rob. Perfect racing country as Christian House looks back. There's composition then of the leading group. It's interesting. Clark, Martias, House and Whiting. Now then, Christian House is a man who loves a long breakaway. He's a former British Road champion, and no doubt he'll have one of these classifications on his mind.
Yeah, that champion from 2009, a great rider, strong rider, and we'll be looking forward to this. John Herity, his team manager back in the car in the convoy, will be loving this. He certainly needs to go out there, and this is the way he races, out off the front.
Getting very close to the first in the Yodel Sprints competition, nearly 9 kilometres under the wheels, and already the field are travelling very quickly. Perfect racing conditions. Mark Cavendish, the world champion on the far side here, quite happy to stay in the wheels and just save himself. But this now is the first sprint in Melton. And near the front is Christian House and other riders who've got their eyes on the points as well. It looks like Ronnie Mathias is up there as well, the Frenchman.
Christian House there, he's just wanting the United Healthcare rider there, the Australian Johnny Clark, to come through. Not wanting to do that, but this group here, they really need to do bit and bit, as they say, and ride together and work strongly, just the four of them, because it looks like the bunch are happy to let them go out and take some time, because they know that they should be able to reel them back in and set it up for a sprint.
Well, Christian House just looking over his left shoulder there to see where the challenge is going to come from. On the line there is 3 seconds, 2 seconds and 1 second, so useful bonuses, and the points of 5, 3, 2 and 1. That's available at the line for each of the 3 sprints. Now then, who's going to be first to have a crack? Well, it looks like Christian House beginning to gather himself on the left here. Mind you, other riders have got the same idea. 3 in a blanket finish for the line. Who's going to take maximum points? It's very close indeed. Looks like Martius might get it in the blue. Martius, I think, just about sealed that. If he did, he gets the 5 points, and more importantly, the 3 second bonus. How useful will that be at the end? Right, Christian House second, Niels Whiting third, and Johnny Clark coming in 4th spot.
Yeah, Martius there, rider from Guadeloupe, riding for the French team there. He's been a little bit sparse the last few years, not really had any results in the last 3 or 4 years. So quite possibly looking there to renew his contract, possibly at the end of his contract this year. So looking to do a performance at the back end of the race.
Look at the crowds here, Rob. Bigger crowds in the Tour de France, I reckon. They must be about 10 deep in places as they leave yet another one of these lovely leafy towns along the way today. 4 of them now ahead of the field by a handsome margin as they pedal away through Suffolk and Norfolk. Gorgeous countryside and perfect racing conditions.
Yeah, all 4 riders here riding well, all wanting to mop up the points here and stay away as we see the Skoda King of the Mountain start. They're just coming up to the bottom of the climb now.
Approximately 24 kilometres covered now as they are approaching the foot slopes of this 3rd category ascent. It just lips up slightly, but nothing to test them compared with what is to come. But of course it is the chance to establish a lead in the competition. 3 climbs today, this is the first of the 3. Christian House on the black there, riding for Rafa Condor, just looking as though he's going to have a go, just as he did in the previous sprint when he was pipped for the maximum points.
And 6 minutes now, the lead for these 4 riders. How much longer will they be able to stay out there, and how much more time will the peloton give them and allow them to stay out there? Because the longer they stay out there, the more work it is at the back end of the race for the sprinters teams.
So the rider from Ampos, Sean Kelly, just coming through here now to raise the tempo. This is Niels Whiting, the Belgian rider, just 21 years of age, and he's leading it out as well. But look at the attack on the left. You can see the black jersey there of Christian House, and House is determined to get the points for this. Challenge still coming from the Belgian, but House takes it. 4 points then for Christian House, and 3 for the second place rider, Whiting, and 2 to the third, Martius. So that's a nice start for Christian House in his bid for the King of the Mountains.
great start, Hugh. A strong, extremely strong sprint there, in fact, by Christian House. Didn't need to follow the others, he just went out there and did it all himself.
Well, it's early days, but you can see it's a handsome margin already. 6 minutes and 10 seconds for the leaders. Well, welcome back to stage one of the Tour of Britain, the longest, just over 200 kilometres, and they are nearing now the foot slopes of the second climb at Westleton. 4 riders then still ahead, and just over 6 minutes. Remember the advantage the last time split we received.
It's a hot day today, and you can see the riders all feeding. There goes an empty bottle there off into the side of the road, no doubt picked up by one of the fans out on the road. As we come up to the Skoda King of the Mountains.
Christian House there in the black strip, no doubt thinking about getting more points to add to the 4 he picked up on the first climb at Snape.
Yeah, Christian House, he really is a strong rider, and he'll be out there, and now he's in this position, I think his intent is to go for this King of the Mountains, surely. It's the way he likes to ride.
Just to keep an eye on the rider in green though, because Whiting looks full of bounce here in the lower slopes of the climb, and Whiting was second to the summit of Snape, chasing Christian House all the way, but he's very, very experienced, is the man wearing the black strip there, House, and he's won 1 or 2 major competitions throughout his career. Has had an injury earlier this year, but now the injury has gone away as the riders once again ride through the corridor of faces here to the cacophony of applause. They have all turned out here to watch the Tour of Britain. It's captured the imagination here of the British public, and they all want to see, of course, Mark Cavendish and Bradley Wiggins. Here we go for the sprint for the summit of the second climb. On the left, it's Christian House. House finding the good line. Can he get to the summit first? He's still being challenged then by Whiting, but it's House that takes the maximum points yet again. Full house then for Christian House, and he's doing a superb job here in his bid to try and win the King of the Mountains. There's the rest of the positions confirmed for you.
Yeah, Johnny Clark there, he looked like he was going for it. Looked a little bit laboured though, and all the other riders came round him, and yes, yet again Christian House showed his strength.
I must admit, I like the look of this Belgian though, this Whiting on and Post. He's riding very, very well. He obviously must know about the reputation of Christian House, but he's not afraid of him, and he's tried to take his scalp on both occasions as they've gone to the line on each of the climbs. So once again they settle down to the sharing of the workload as they gulp in the air to get their second win.
Now we're back at the peloton. Be interesting to see who's working on the front. Obviously the big sprinters teams, Sky and Garmin Sharp. They're here at the back.
Certainly not the place to be, is it? Particularly when there's an attack at the front, because it's you get that whiplash effect. But riders from Sky sitting right at the back there, and that was Luke Rowe, and the thin line forming at the front, and that tells me, Rob, the long sinuous line indicates that the pressure is now being applied, and I feel that Sky are probably saying that's enough, you're not going to have any more advantage.
Yeah, these riders really do need to reel this group in now, and let's see who's up there. There's Liquid Gas, Escatel, all together, all up near the front, all trying to keep themselves out of trouble on these long, thin, narrow roads. Can get a little bit treacherous further back down the bunch, but here we can see Sky and Garmin Sharp all with their riders up the front.
There's 1 or 2 other teams as well trying to nudge their way into the line. Sigma Sport are putting a couple of riders in the line as well, so they're all happy to share the workload to try and pull the rest back. Welcome drink then for Biela Blocki at the back from Node 4 Giordana Racing Team. And Liquid today, as we mentioned earlier, is going to be gulped down. They'll be going back to the team car, collecting bottles in their dozens.
Yeah, crucial to keep hydrated on a day like this. It's warm out there. It's probably touching 30 degrees out there now in this midday sun, and they're so important in stage races.
Look at the field here, just crossing the summit of that second climb at Westleton, and 6 minutes back, remember, as they just dance their way to the top. Long way to go, and you get a feeling that that chase is ready to start to unfold.
After 105 kilometres, the 4 leaders were still clear, and as they rode through huge crowds along the seafront, Johnny Clark of United Healthcare took the second Yodel sprint unopposed. There was much more of a competitive element to the final intermediate sprint of the day after 141 kilometres in the pretty town of Coltishall. The results saw Ronnie Martius of Sor Sogesson break clear, and once again Rafa Condor's Christian House had to settle for second place. We'll be back with the conclusion of stage 1 of this year's Tour of Britain after the break.
"29 kilometres to go." It's getting very, very near, isn't it? About 18 miles of racing left through this glorious countryside before they're going to arrive here at the Norfolk Showground. A little bit more pressure being applied at the front now. One or two riders trying to get a little bit twitchy. They want to get involved. We've got a member there of the UK youth cycling team sitting second wheel. As these little corrugations that the riders have to tackle, you can see, doesn't look too much, but the riders are all forced out of the saddle here as they are approaching yet another of the drags.
Yeah, getting to the end of the stage here, we can see the yellow jersey. This isn't the yellow jersey, the yellow car with Wigo.
I think we're getting near to the final climb here, actually, Robert, Swanton Morley. And let me just tell you that Christian House has been first on the first two climbs, at Snape at 24 kilometres and at Westleton after 48 kilometres. So at the moment he's leading that competition comfortably. And it looks like there's a bit of a challenge on here because he has been at the top of the first two first, so he's got 8 points, and the same man has been second each time, and that's White Ink of Ann Post, and these two have slipped away because the points for this third climb could decide the destiny of the King of the Mountains jersey, and it's Christian House that's leading it out. So this is the first sprint we've really seen of the race. Now then, House is a wily sprinter, former National Road champion, and he's got a good turn of speed. So the approach to the climb still continues to unfold, and obviously House is very concerned about Whiting because Whiting has got 6 points and Christian House has got 8, just 2 between them. 4 for first on the climb, 3 for second, 2 for third, 1 for fourth. It's interesting, this, isn't it? Almost like a track stand.
Cat and mouse, and the other 2 riders have dropped off. We saw there's one back now from healthcare, but Mateus, he seemed to have a problem. I don't know if he was looking down at a wheel, whether he punctured and wanted service. He won't be too concerned because he's not actually been going for these King of the Mountains, Skoda King of the Mountains classification points. He's been going for the IGM, for the Yodel sprints.
So it's Johnny Clark. Yeah, Johnny Clark that came up to join them. He's right on the front there. So it's Clark, House, and then it's Whiting.
Mateus, he's actually pulled over on the side of the road, and we saw him just on the side of the road, obviously needing service, needing to go back to his vehicle. So again, he knows that this group isn't going to be staying away today to the finish. So he's done his job for the day. He's happy. His team director will certainly be happy. He's gone back into the safety of that peloton.
It's a long run, isn't it, this, to the finish, and now they're down to 3. And the speed, of course, has come down dramatically here, hasn't it? Because, look, it's only 50 seconds now, the advantage.
It really, really will start to tumble this time. Once the guys at the front of the peloton start to really inject the pace, which they haven't really done up to now, we can see there's a lot of riders across the road. They're all looking, they're all waiting. As you said there, Team UK Youth there, one of the riders just having a chat with big Magnus Backstead in there.
Yeah, note for Giordano over to the left as well. Here's the sprint then for the final climb of the day. Christian House gets it on the line, so he picks up the 4 points. So it's a full house for Christian House. He has got 12 points, and that means that he will collect the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey on the podium at the end of the stage. But there was a lot of cat and mouse stuff there, wasn't there? And a lot of respect being shown as well. Niels Whiting, the Belgian on the Ann Post team, is just acknowledging the stronger man. These are the final meters to the line, and Christian House, well, he proved that he was the stronger. So that's 2 jersey positions decided here at the finish on stage 1. and that is the Yodel Sprints competition. That'll go over the shoulders of Ronnie and Matthias of Sochazon, the Frenchman. Now, as we're heading on to 22 kilometres to go.
You can just see the back of the peloton there, really strung out, and riders riding a lot lower on the front end of their bikes, which is signs that the bunch is starting to pick up pace.
You're right there, Rob. And in fact, there are the leaders. They've capitulated, they're sitting up, and they know that their job has been done today. It's been fruitful for two. That means that two of the riders that were away, i.e. on the front, Christian House, he's going to get the jersey for King of the Mountains, and the other man that went back a little earlier, and that of course is Ronnie Matthias, will get the Yodel Sprints jersey. Well, it looks like the man from An Post, Sean Kelly, is going to continue here. He's not going to give up. He wants to stay out in the lead. This is the Belgian, and this is Whiting. I can't see that succeeding now. The field are just going to pull him back, aren't they?
They will do, but and I'm pretty sure he's aware of that. He could possibly be hoping that 2 or 3 riders will go across to him, but that's highly unlikely, and it doesn't look like that's happening. But again, he's out there. He's just showing his jersey off again, and you know, quite possibly he's at the end of his contract, and at the moment he hasn't got a contract for next year. And so the more he can do to show his aggression and the way that he can ride, then the more chance he's got of being seen by not only the directors that are here on the race, but those looking, watching on the TV and looking at the results on the continent.
Just look at the Sky team on the left now. What a sight this is then, Rob. I mean, they're all lined out there now, aren't they? Beginning to raise the tempo. We got one right at the back. I think he's either been for some bottles, but no doubt he'll thread his way up through the wheels and join them. And they are showing a 5-second advantage for the lone leader. Well, a strange style of riding. You see quite a lot of that these days, with the hands just resting on the bars. I always make a criticism, because if you were to hit a hole in the road, you'd go over the top.
You can. When you're riding on your own like this, it's not too bad, because he's got full vision of what's coming. But the riders who do it a little bit further back, it can really affect you. Here you can see the riders enduro racing, as we mentioned earlier, really starting to pile the pressure on now. It's a little bit open, and the chances are there's a crosswind coming, and which is why they're all riding in the left-hand gutter. The wind will be coming across from those open fields there on the right-hand side, as we see a crash now.
Well, crash, yep. I think what happened there, the grass verges are quite high, and well, there we are on the floor. It's one of the riders from the Node 4 Giordana team.
That is Rico Rogers there, their sprinter.
The little sprinter from New Zealand. Well, I think what you might happen is, as the field fill the full width of the road, with the verges being high on the right, you could just catch a pedal and down you go.
Yeah, you can. We just see, if you look on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see the jersey go up in the air, and it's probably a touch of wheels, someone's braked, and there he goes, straight up.
Gymnastic movement almost. Fortunately, it was grassy, wasn't it?
Yeah, 4 points for effort.
And then as the peloton swung over to avoid, you can see the repercussions of that, where riders on the left were being forced off the road as well.
Well, this is the trouble. You go down like a deck of cards, don't you, here? And when all the riders are fighting for position, there's not a lot of room between the riders, and one go down and that's it. But this highlights the importance of why these riders do what they're doing now.
That's quite a chase in front of them, isn't it? One rider has waited for Rico Rogers, and the pressure's being applied, so that's going to be a hard chase.
It really will, and it's the sort of effort that you can do without. I mean, we've seen it before with Robbie McEwen, for instance, in the Tour de France. He crashed very late on, crashed or punctured, and then had to ride himself back onto the bunch, got himself there and took the victory. So the adrenaline can come through. But here, another crash yet again on the left-hand side of the bunch. Oh, my word. We were expecting, we said there could possibly be crashes, but I expected it to be on the lead-in on these bends, but not this far out from the finish.
Let's have a look at this one then, Rob, see if we can tidy it up, see who's on the floor.
Narrow bridge, pinch point.
Yep. They're getting twitchy as well, aren't they, now, as the pressure is being applied. Right, one of the young riders from the Great Britain team at the back there, I think that was Owen Doole, actually. But Endura are obviously deciding it's time for them to put some pressure on. Look at that.
Yep, there was 2 separate crashes actually. That one happened a little bit after this was the first crash here on this pinch point, and you can see there aren't many of the bigger teams here. There's one of the Garmin Sharp riders on the right.
Yeah. There's a lot been delayed here, and Posh Sean Kelly as well. He's really gone down, hasn't he?
There we go, yeah.
So Christian House quite happy now to sit at the back of the field, and he's the man, of course, who is the king of the mountains after day one.
But here we see Team Sky now, 4 kilometres to go. Bernie Eisel, I believe, on the front there by the looks of it. He knows the script. He's done this so many times through all of Mark Cavendish's career. He's been there. He's his wingman. He's the man that looks after him. Make sure he gets himself to Paris in the Tour de France.
Well, 3 kilometres to go. They're getting ever nearer then to the approach on Durham Road, and then from Durham Road they'll be heading on past the hotel actually where we stayed last night, Rob, and then they'll swing into the exit, or the entrance I should say, to the park and the finish.
Just a little bit of a battle there with Sojo, the French team, and the green rider there from Liquigas. It really does start to get a little bit tetchy now and again, and it's amazing how much information you can pass on to one another in this kind of situation. The amount of body language,
Sky
physical.
on the front. Yep, the lineup now. What an impressive lineup as well. Look at this, Bradley Wiggins. What a man to have to lead you out. The man that's won the Tour de France. Can't be bad, can it?
Not bad at all, is it? You can see Maggie Backstead here, Team UK Youth. That's Luke Rowe there, just ahead of Mark Cavendish.
So Luke Rowe just in the lead-out line as well. He got a late call for the team. Lockfist, the Swede, was taken out almost at the last minute, and Luke Rowe got the call to be in the team.
Everybody fighting for that rainbow jersey, everybody looking for that wheel for Mark Cavendish. They know that he's got the best lead out in this race, and they know that he is the one who will be set up for the win.
So it's Nice, Wiggins, Rowe, Cavendish, and then right on the front,
Bernie Eisel. There he is.
Bernie Eisel, the man that guides Cav through the mountains. All the names, of course, that we are always talking about, and they're right here on our screen, racing on British roads. Now then, we're inside the concluding 3 kilometres of stage 1, and they are now on the Durham Road. They're going to come right down here, and then they're going to anchor right, and then head in towards the entrance to the park, and the pace really being applied at the front now. The little thin line beginning to form. There we go, 2 kilometres remaining, and you can tell that this is a perfect setup then by Team Sky for Cav.
Really are doing a good job. Again, in the left-hand gutter, the wind coming across from their right-hand shoulder, and here you can see Orica Greenedge now coming up to the front. That looks like Brett Lancaster here, following the motorbike, leading his team out.
That's put Sky on the back foot a little bit here, because it is very narrow and technical once they get into the park. So there'll be work then for the Sky boys to do. In the team of Orica Greenedge, you've got Bobridge, Lancaster, Hepburn, Howard and Kropis of Lithuania. No really big, powerful sprinter there, but a lot of riders from the track background. Jack Bobridge, of course, holder of the world record for the 4,000-metre individual pursuit. Maybe he fancies his chances.
They probably do, and they've got strength in depth in that team, and they just need to make sure that they get themselves on the front. They've got the strength to do it.
1.5 kilometres to go. Wiggins, you can just see in those yellow sunglasses that he's worn ever since he won the Maillot Jaune. Cavendish has gone down, and there's a massive crash at the back there, and that's left Bradley Wiggins off the front. A brace of riders from the team of Sky are clear, and Cavendish is on the deck, and he is not a happy chap at all. I'm just wondering what happened there. Oh, let's have another look at it. What happened there, Rob?
He either touched a wheel or his front wheel came off the side of the road and he got caught on the gravel. I don't know, but he could very well. It looks like he's talking to a rider. I think he probably got taken out. His front wheel got taken out from a rider alongside him.
So Cavendish then on the deck, and it looked as though the setup was perfect then for the Sky riders. Is Farrar another one of the riders there as well on the floor as we wait for the arrival of the leaders on the line, and it left Bradley Wiggins just clear at the front. Is Wiggins going to get there's Farrar, so yeah. Tyler Farrar's delayed as well, and it means now that Team Endura are on the front as they're coming towards the finish.
And we're looking back at the crash victims here. Mark Cavendish, Tyler Farrar, and it looks like he's got 2 of his teammates with him.
So that's a massive loss then for the Garmin Sharp squad, and Tyler Farrar of the big sprinters is there with Cavendish. Now then into the finishing funnel, and just look at this, it's Boy Van Poppel leading this one out, trying to get the stage victory, but on the right it's a rider from Sky, so the main sprinter's on the floor, but Sky are still in the shake-up for victory, and that looks like Luke Rowe to me, throwing his arms in the air. Yes, Luke Rowe wins stage 1 here in the Showground in Norfolk. What a finish.
And Russell Downing there in 3rd place for Enduro Racing, a good ride by him.
And they're still sorting themselves out after that crash as we look here at Ivan Basso coming in. So one of the big race favourites has lost a lot of time, but as the crash occurred in the concluding 3 kilometres, he will be awarded the same time as the group he was in when he went down.
Yeah, and a lot of the riders there missing out here. Mark Cavendish too, he will also receive the same time as the leaders, but that won't count for much. He would have wanted this sprint along with Tyler Farrar there next to him. And here we can see a replay of the action. It's very difficult to see what happens. I don't know if someone dive-bombed Cavendish or if he lost his wheel on the gravel there on the side of the road, but a big fall, but he looks okay.
So 2 of the big sprinters limping their way to the finish. Mark Cavendish on the right, and on the left Tyler Farrar, and these were possibly 2 of the riders we would have expected going head-to-head for the victory here in the finish in Norfolk.
Yeah, both those guys had their teams riding on the front, so big disappointment for both of them.
But what a day here then for Luke Rowe, the biggest win of his career, and he was only bought in the race at the last minute to replace Logfist. He wins stage 1. What a sprint finish.
A well-timed sprint from Luke Rowe, taking the initiative with around 150 metres to the line and storming past Boy Van Poppel to take the win for Team Sky. Confirmation then of today's result. Luke Rowe taking the sprint from United Healthcare Pro Cycling's Boy Van Poppel, with another British rider making it into the top 3 in the shape of Enduro Racing's Russell Downing.
We had the lead out perfectly sorted for Cav. I was going to be the last lead out man for Cav, and yeah, just proves that bike racing's so unpredictable, and the way it turned out, I just shouted to Brad, it's for me, and he just went full gas, and yeah, outfoxed the other guy, and you know, hands in the air.
There was something of a festival atmosphere at the Showground for the podium, with a huge cheer for Luke Rowe, the stage winner. And there was reward for the riders in the breakaway, with Ronnie Martius receiving the Yoda Sprints jersey. And Christian House's aggressive ride saw him take the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey.
It's going to be a bunch sprint, and you know, I thought maybe I'd save my legs for another day, but just the way it worked out, I just followed a move early on, and that was it, 4-man break from the gun. So once I got into the move, I think yeah, I kind of looked towards the sprints to maybe get a bit of time, and you know, the first mountain came fairly easy for me, so I just decided to go for it then.
And then a further 2 visits to the podium for Luke Rowe. First, to collect the Chain Reaction Cycles points jersey. And then, as winner of the opening stage, the Welshman returned for the IG Markets gold jersey as leader of the general classification. And this is how the GC looks after the opening stage. Luke Rowe obviously leads the race and received a 10-second time bonus on the line. That means he has a 3-second advantage over Ronnie Martius, who took 7 seconds in time bonuses thanks to his performance in the intermediate sprints. Martius is a second ahead of Boy Van Poppel. 31 riders are 10 seconds back, including John Tiernan Locke in 9th place and Bradley Wiggins, who is 24th after also hitting the deck in the closing stages. Well, the crowd stood here in their thousands in the blazing sunshine, hoping to see a British winner, and they weren't disappointed. It might not be the one that they perhaps had expected, but Luke Rowe rode a very, very canny finish.
Yeah, extremely classy ride by Luke today for such a young guy. Obviously, he's surrounded by so much talent. That must be so inspirational for him. But yeah, it was really gritty finale. Lots of crashes, and for him to pick his way through and take out the win when he certainly wasn't the favourite to do it is absolutely spectacular and wonderful.
And the composure for him to say to Bradley Wiggins, this one's for me, and to go for it.
It does. That shows a hell of a lot of confidence. Definitely a guy for the future, and I think this is the first of many great successes for him. But it'll be interesting to see how long he stays in the jersey with all the climbs coming up.
Mark Cavendish looked a bit bruised and battered when he came over the line. But the one thing we know about Cav is if he's been knocked down, he does get right back up again.
Yeah, Mark is a fighter. You know, he's so tenacious. look back to the Giro d'Italia, had a really nasty couple of offs, came back and won a stage with his little child there. So don't write Mark off just yet, and I'm sure he'll pick off a stage.
Pretty much went to script today, didn't it? Bit of a break and then all back together for a sprint finish, even if it wasn't perhaps the sprint finish we expected.
Yeah, as I say, sometimes stages like this can revert to type almost. You get the early breakaway, the big teams like Garmin and Sky were riding that move, never let it get to more than 5 or 6 minutes, held it about 3 minutes, pulled it back classically with about 15-20k to go. But then because of the nature of the course, there was a number of bottlenecks, and I know that the riders went over a small bridge and that caused a crash. And then later on, people just take risks. That's professional bike racing.
It is indeed. And of course, the race continues tomorrow, heading from Nottingham to Knowsley Safari Park. So we'll have highlights on ITV4 from 7 o'clock, where I'll be handing the baton on to Ned Bolting. Hope you can join us then.